I hold the key to your success. Now, I know it sounds strange for me to say that, but I do, and I know that I do, but you may not believe that. And I didn't believe it for a long time either, and that was the problem. And I did a little experiment. I put out my program, I talked about my program, and I said, 20 people who want to transform their lives in a year, come and you can pay this one low price and you can do that. And only a few people did it. And I thought, why is that happening? And I said, oh, it's happening for the same reason that it happened in my life, because I didn't believe myself. I didn't believe that I could do something. And then you see something that someone might say, and it's like, no, I can't do that because I've never done it before in my life. So how could I do what that person is saying? And then even when I gave guarantees, I said, listen, I'm going to work with you. You're going to have this and it's going to be there. You're going to have this success. And people said, no, that's not possible. And they're just not going to do it. And I completely understand it. That's why I decided to publish this little post today so you can read my mission statement. See, because I've known things for a long time. And that was the part that was challenging for me, even since a child, to accept what I knew. And my clients, you've probably heard it in some of the testimonial videos where they say, it's just weird. Roger will say something and then it's kind of, how did he know that? How did that come about? I know you've heard it at some places, and that's what was challenging for me to accept, except I'm not going to do that anymore. And so I decided, let me do an experiment. So when I put that out there to see who was going to jump, I did everything. I put out so many postings and I said, do you want to feel more confident? Do you want more self-esteem? Do you want to know your life purpose? Do you want to love it? Do you want to enjoy your life? Do you want to have the right relationship? Do you want to fall in love with yourself? Do you want to have everything you've ever desired in your life? And people said, no, I can't do that. That's what happened. And I'm saying, yeah, you can. And I tell several stories because none of you know. People look at me and they say, this guy's not serious. He couldn't have gone through anything. He's too happy. If you only knew what I have gone through in my 71, almost 72 years, you would be shocked. And that's what I wasn't talking about, because I had to put all of this together. But this is why I said my program is called Your Last Development Program, because I'm not doing another one, and I can't imagine why anyone else would need something, because we're all doing the same thing. And we're just trying to get to who we are. And that's the only work that I'm doing now, because that was the problem. I couldn't accept my authentic self, because my authentic self has known things for a long time. In 2016, I believe you might have seen it, I published an article, and it was called, I Might Be Slightly Racist with Misogynistic Tendencies. And that might sound crazy, but if you read the article, you'll see it wasn't. Because I had an awareness of what was going on in the world and how things were going to change, and we need to understand where we came from and the biases that we all carry that cause us to have horrible lives and then create a world that's a little crazy as well. That's what goes on. But I couldn't talk about that. And then in 2016, I knew all of this was coming up, and so I started writing different things. And in 2016, I said, I'm going to do a program, I'm going to write a book too, and I'm going to call it Overcoming Everything. And everybody looked at that, and many of you might, some of you who have followed me might remember that. And so they said, no one's going to believe that. And I said, but I've lived it. What are you talking about? That's what's going to happen. I said, nope, they're not going to get it. And so there's always some gimmick that we have to use to try to sell something, especially as a coach, and I could never do that. I said, no, I want people to become who they're meant to be. That's the only thing I'm supposed to do. People said, well, who's your niche? Who are you trying to speak to? I said, people who want to be successful. And I said, no, that's not specific enough. That you've got to say what that is. I go, well, people who want to be successful, people who want to succeed. Let me see, what kind of other words can I say to get that to come through? And he said, nope, that's not a niche. You're not going to grab people that way. And I'm not one that goes about selling. I don't like doing it. I don't approach people. I'm very introverted. You might know that. So I don't go out and do things in that nature. And so that was really challenging for me. But if you read my mission statement that I pointed out, that I put there, it will make sense. Then I had an Akashic Records reading done that also kind of verified what I had always felt, that, oh, I am the niche That's exactly what came out in the session. And there's a recording of that out there. You'll see it at some point. But I had to talk about this because we're going through a period, and this is why I created my program, see, because I always know what is coming about. I knew back then. In 2017 is when I started actually shooting a program that I was going to do that got put down, I stopped it. I shot so much of it, and it was great too. But I said, nope, there's something more. Then I changed the name. I called it Empowerment Made Simple. I've used all kinds of things because I have done this my entire life. When I'm creating something, I want to know that it works before I give it to people. But then when I know that it works, then it's valuable. But I can't I can't make anyone decide that they're going to believe something and move on it. I couldn't do it. Even when I said, I'm guaranteeing you this, and people are going, and that probably made it worse because people said, no, you can't do that. And I said, well, I've moved through more things than you can possibly imagine, and I've healed them all. And that even doctors can't figure out. So I must know something. I must have something. I've like started huge businesses that made millions of dollars, and then I failed at all these other things. So I must know something. And what I know is that everyone has the same thing. Every person has this brilliance within them. It's in their lives, what they've lived. And if they were able to access that and own it and talk about it and get and figure out why they had those experiences, they would have success in their lives. That's all that it is. But we don't want to do that. This is why you hear all these things about doing shadow work and mirror work and all those things, because we're trying to change our brains. That's all. And so what I came up with is a fun, easy system that causes that to happen. And I know that it works because it did it for me. And that's what I'm saying. People say, that doesn't make any sense. And it does, because I don't know what I have received, just like you don't know. You don't know what's within you. But we get afraid of looking. We don't want to look at it because then we are different. We're all different. We're supposed to be different. But when we can't accept our difference and our uniqueness, which is the value that we came into the world with, and we're supposed to actualize that. It doesn't matter what you're going to do in your life. It's about, does it feel aligned with who you are? And we always know that. Because when we're not in a place where we're happy, where we're feeling fulfilled and loving ourselves, then we haven't found our authentic selves, or we haven't understood our lives. See, because it's first about understanding why you had the life experiences that you have, finding the value in that, and then use it in your life to create something better, to cause your life to be what it could be. And so that's what I'm going to do as well, because now what I'm doing is I can't get people to want to become successful. You have to decide, yeah, it's time for me to do this now. And it's a process. And that process is uncomfortable, because what I do is I take you through, okay, let's look at what you've been thinking. What have you been telling yourself? Why are you in this situation that you can't figure out what you're supposed to do, and you're not happy? And why are you in this relationship? Why are you doing this job that you hate and you're still stuck there? All of those things. These are the questions that we don't want to answer, and I had to go through and answer all of them. And so what happens during that process is you uncover this great person that has always been there. It's always been within you. But when we can't accept that for many different reasons, it becomes challenging. And so that's why I can't change anyone's mind. But there are people who understand this process, who have done it enough, who know that it's just a matter of accepting the next part of who you've become, because we've all evolved and become something more. And the reason that I did the program now, because again, I know what's coming up, and we're going to have some challenging times. And so when we go through those periods, that's the best time for you to take care of yourself, for you to start to figure out who you are, why you're in the world, because there's a reason for it. It's within you, and I always find that. That's my intuitive side. That's why I didn't want to tell people. No, I'm really intuitive, and I can feel these things. That's why my clients would progress. That's why they got so would move through things quickly. But I had to own that, just like you have to own what you have. And you can't say that you don't have this gift or something to bring the world, because everyone does. You were born that way. We just haven't figured it out. You just haven't interpreted it, or you did what I did and said, no, that's wrong. I can't be that person. And that's exactly what I did. I can look at everyone else, and then so I thought, I've done enough courses, I've done all the mentors, I've had coaches, they say all the same thing. And I go, and I know it. Why am I not giving people what I know? And it's the same for you. That's all that it is. And so, but it's a process of changing our minds, our brains, because we're the ones who are doing that. And then we can say, oh, I can embrace that now. But it's a process and it takes time, which is why my program is a year, because that would be the ideal time for someone to completely transform and come out to be what they wanted to be and what they were meant to live, because we all have that. That's why I created it. And so I hope you get a lot out of the article, because I want you to know there's no reason, zero reason for anyone to not have this successful life unless you're not willing. You just don't want to look at it. And I can say that because I did it for so long, which is also sudden you're not worried about what you're feeling confident. Thrilled, first of all. I'm going to be working with are those, and I'm thrilled, first of all. I was looking at this last night, and I was there was a group about 6 men in the program that I was looking at. I was just sending someone their email addresses so we could send them some more information. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, I don't need a whole bunch of people. I just need these people that are in front of me who want to really expand and become their best selves, because they will change the world. And that's how we're going to have a world that looks quite different than what it is now. Because what we're going to move through in these next several months, there's going to be a lot of chaos and conflict and fear and all of that. And so we're going to have to process through that, because the world is changing, as I've told you. And that information has been coming through for a long time. And so it's the best time for you to start to decide to own who you are. If you look, I was talking about this yesterday. If you do a little research, you will see that the really smart people and the people who are wealthy understand these times and changes throughout our world, and they will take advantage of it and work on building something, creating something new. It always happens. I put an article in the broadcast I sent yesterday, and you can look it up, about evolutionary changes, which is what we're moving through now, and what happens during those times. And when you have the awareness and the wisdom that, oh, this is the time to do something that's going to be meaningful, then you jump on it. But a lot of times we have to change our brains, because you couldn't believe even the offer that I gave you. Said, no, that's not possible. And I understand it, because it may not be time for you, but there are certain people who they are ready to move there, and those are the people that I'm going to work with, because now I'm going to create the life that I want. We all should be able to create the lives that we want to live. And so now what I want to do is work with those people who are eager and curious and who want to expand and know that there's something more within them, and they just have to find the path and something that's going to open them up to that. And that's why I have the key to your success.